Hi, I'm Dr. Rudy Kachmann. Welcome to our wellness show. Today's subject will be stopping, preventing, reversing type 2 diabetes. This is a wonderful opportunity because I think a lot of people don't realize that they can prevent, stop, reverse this disease, which has about 50 other diseases associated with it. You can totally prevent it by early testing, for example, and that most of them just accept that script to the ill and go on doing what they were doing, missing a wonderful opportunity to get off all medications, to be energetic, look good, and be healthy at the same time. So let's talk for a minute, separating type 1 and type 2. Type 1 diabetes used to be, juvenile diabetes. We see it only in kids, but now we're seeing it in adults. The pancreas finally gets sick and tired of secreting so much insulin because we have insulin resistance that eventually the pancreas dies out, and then they're also type 1, just like their little kids were. But what about the children and them getting type 1? Where's most likely? If your child, a milk drinker, I'm talking about mother's milk, I'm talking about milk from cows, they more commonly get type 1 diabetes. If they have gluten, celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, they're most likely to develop it, for example. So it's not just that it's a virus that kills the pancreas like they try to get you to believe. No, part of it is the habits of the parents, even before conception, while the child's in the placenta, and afterwards, while they're feeding the child, increase the rates of type 1 diabetes where they need insulin. And if those children do have it, for example, if they follow a healthy way of eating, they're much more likely to need very little insulin, only about 10 units or so, because insulin has a lot of other effects besides pushing sugar into the cell for energy. Increased rates of cancer, for example. It's anabolic. Increased rates of obesity, for example. So if you have type 1 diabetes, if you're eating right, you probably can live to be 100. You need very little insulin, maybe 10 units. Versus what we see a lot today, with children eating what they want to, they have an insulin pump, and they just eat more and pump some more insulin. Well, that's not without side effects. They don't tell you that. But it's kind of interesting. Now, type 2 diabetes is rampant. 1 out of 2 people in this area is probably pre-diabetic or diabetic. The reason I teach so much prevention here, because all the complications of type 2 diabetes, which are almost too many to list, but I'll mention a few. Dementia. A lot of Alzheimer's disease dementia is due to type 2 diabetes, and I'll tell you the exact scientific reason. The ID enzyme, insulin-degrading enzyme's job is to degrade insulin. If they're used up, the insulin level is up if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, okay? Its other job is to degrade amyloid, which has to do with the brain and Alzheimer's disease. So if all the IDE is used up metabolizing insulin, none is left to metabolize amyloid, and that's what causes dementia. So type 2 diabetes is a huge cause of dementia and Alzheimer's disease, maybe 70% of it. I spoke to a researcher recently passing through town. He was in an accident. He was doing researches from Pittsburgh on a rare, working on a drug for Alzheimer's disease. He had no idea what I just said, none. Hadn't read the books. I gave it to him. Bredeson's book, for example, Dean and Asha Ahmed, they wrote a beautiful book about it. So it's critical. Thyroid disease, cataract disease, tooth disease, unannounced heart attacks and strokes, renal transplants, liver transplants, amputations, skin disease. I can go on and on. Many bowel diseases, all due to type 2 diabetes. All can be prevented, stopped, and 90% reversed. That's why I'm doing this show, to give you this opportunity and not just accept the script. I know plenty of people who just go to their diabetic educator and they just learn how to use the medicine. I want you to think of getting rid of the disease. But don't give up the medicine unless your blood sugar is going to normal because you follow good health habits. But make a plan. You got to become informed here. Where am I coming from? From having read many books and experience as a physician of many people who lost their diabetes. Oh yeah, yeah. It only takes 10% of body weight loss, and most of the time it goes away. Okay, although I've had people who lost 100 pounds, 150 pounds, and some lost 10 pounds, and the diabetes went away. Okay, let's review some of the books I encourage you to read, because you must participate in your health care if you plan to get healthy. That's important. Nutrition is number one on how to make yourself healthy. Here's a good book by End of Diabetes, Dr. Joe Furman. You know him. He's very famous, very famous. He was in town recently to give a talk at the First Assembly Church, and he stayed at my house that night. We played tennis the day of the lecture. We tied, although the year before, I beat him. And he came to town. He said, just to see if he could beat me this time. I kind of believe that. Then he gave a wonderful lecture. And what he really teaches mainly is nutrient-dense way of eating. No diet. I don't recommend a diet. Eat food full of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, foods of color. You can add mushrooms and onions that have no color. But it's the mosaic, the interaction of the vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals that lead to good health. Okay? I feel like the Grinch here. It's Christmas, okay? And that's the important part. No diet, because the nutrients in there will turn your appetite off. A good way to do it, which I teach more than any of these books really, is to have a smoothie in the morning. Get a smoothie machine. You can buy a Ninja with $100 or something now. The most complex machine, the Vitamix, which you can make soups and other things. But I have one every morning. I had one, and I don't get hungry for hours because of it. That's half the way there. If you do a smoothie every morning, I think you're half the way there. But check your blood sugars and make sure that the smoothie you're making, you can get recipes in many books, but also on Kachmann Facebook. I get a bunch of recipes on there, and I'm completing a recipe book probably within a month or two. You'll have a recipe book available to you. I think it's a good way to start. And then maybe one other meal a day. You have one of these bowls full of vegetables, everything you can dream up. Maybe some balsamic vinegar, not a whole bunch of olive oil because that's high calorie. My God, you're 90% there, okay? Take a walk a day, sing a song, whatever. A little bit of exercise is helpful, but exercise alone will not do it. You need to eat the right food. So when he came out with this book, he asked me to review it, and my name's actually in the back of the book, and we sold 2 million copies, I think, something like that. And a very healthy way, but I like confirmation. You know, I like things confirmed. That way I know I'm coming off the right thing. I saw so many. It turns out that sugar is really the booger and the hooker. Yeah, sugar's the baby. 50 years the government told us it was the fat. They were wrong. They did it on purpose too. They were getting lobbying money. Mark Hackstead from Harvard, they admitted it. And I'm not sure he's alive now, but they taught us that. And Ansel Keys and NIH and the CDC, they all said fat was the enemy when fat actually was the friend. Mark Kachmann just wrote a book, Eat Fat and Be Thin. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There are good fats and bad fats, and you got to learn which are the good ones, which are the omega-3, and which are in fish and nuts and olives and guacamole, for example. Would be the good fats, okay? But it's a firm. We need a certain amount of sugar, but we're eating 200 pounds a year. We should be eating, 15 pounds, 20 pounds maybe. We don't eat anywhere near the amount of sugar that we are eating. Fast food, for example, and Furman wrote a book called Fast Food Genocide, and he's correct. We're killing ourselves with fast food because they're stripped of all the vitamins and minerals. We go to these fast food restaurants and we're eating junk food, very unhealthy. and going to die 20 years younger and get complications of diabetes, maybe amputations, dislocations, which the doctor doesn't. Look around you when you're in church or a shopping center, who's going around in wheelchairs and canes. A lot of these have had legs amputated because they have type 2 diabetes, which most of the time was preventable, stoppable, reversible. How long would it take? Weeks. Mark Kachmann would say your blood sugar will be normal in a week. And I'll tell you why I think that's correct. Because I gave some talks recently, you can find them on YouTube, on the garden of life, your biome, your gut. Your gut has in it trillions of live bacteria. They determine your health. So what you're eating will change them. It's mainly Firmicutes and Bacteroides. Bacteroides are the friendly ones, about 80%. If you eat the wrong food, then you have different bacteria here that change the metabolism of your gut. But one of those bacteria's lifespan is 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Yeah. And your mucosa, the gut, is one cell layer thick. The lifespan is 24 hours. So if you change what you eat, you see how quickly you'll change your gut, just a few days. So if you're diabetic, metabolism is run over here. So if you're type 2 diabetic, for example, your biome, your gut biome will be changed quickly. You will get rid of your type 2 diabetes quickly. So watch your blood sugars, maybe do them more frequently if you decide to eat right. Exercise won't do it. 20 minutes exercise, couple hours a week, probably be fine. But take a nice walk. Don't be a couch potato. Don't get sitting disease. But you need to rebuild your gut biome. Then your diabetes will go away. And if you eat high fiber foods, they'll come out in stool in the end, and that's your friend. Fiber is your friend, and your blood sugars will drop quickly. Mark Kachmann, very quickly. Another great book that was written, which one of the original ones I actually read, was Franklin House, The 30-Day Miracle. He used to run the Lifestyle Institute in Texas, I think. I never met anybody who read the book, but I read it many years ago. That totally changed my life because I realized he said you could do it in 30 days, although in the book it says quicker than that. And science has advanced more than that. We've learned a lot more since that time. As I was reading about this, I wondered, since I was a neurosurgeon, why diabetic doctors and doctors in general didn't teach prevention. Well, I tell you, I don't think it's necessarily a purpose on their part, but the med school didn't teach it. Why? I don't know, but one thing could be they get a lot of money from drug companies, like Eli Lilly, for example, that funds their research, and they don't want to shake their bushes too much. I wonder about it. I don't know. And I do wonder about it because I talked to med students, graduate from IU a year or two ago, and they had 4 students up there, and we had alumni there, and they said, any questions? So, you know me, the dean's sitting right there. And I said, well, how much time in those 4 years did you spend time on nutrition? Those 4 got together, talked a little bit, and they really didn't know. They guessed maybe a week. Mm-hmm. Yet nutrition causes 90% of our illnesses. What were they doing? Studying organic chemistry? That's not what the answer is. Wellness is where it's at. We need to learn a little bit of chemistry, but we're not going into research unless you go on. Nutrition teaching should be number 1 at the med school level. I say it. Maybe it'll change if I say it or not. So Franklin House goes on to it. Then I'm learning all this, okay, and I'm getting a little madder by the minute because there's there's always script to the ill, okay? And sometimes, that's needed. So I wrote a book called The Scam, the Racket, the Fraud of Type 2 Diabetes. Well, isn't it a racket? It is a racket. I mean, it is a racket because industry is selling all these drugs and medications which are much too expensive. We don't compete with Europe or between states for the price of drugs, which we should be doing. Okay, so it'd be cheaper to the people. Only half the people, incidentally, take their medications. Why? Can't afford them. They can't afford them, okay? So me teaching prevention, that's their medicine, okay? And if they follow that, and I see people at the Three Rivers Pharmacy on Friday morning for free. I saw some diabetics the other day. For free. So come in. I'll show you some of the, you can go to Facebook, Kachmann YouTube, and write YouTube Rudy Kachmann up will pop up at 500 TV shows. A lot on diabetes. You can get that teaching for free. So, but if you can, I would like you to do some reading too, but it's not critical. Watch those YouTube shows, start eating right, which, you know, it's not that difficult. So then when I learned more about sugar, and I'm reading another book about it today, which I'll have a show about in the future, I called this book The New Slavery. Well, isn't sugar a slavery? We had the old slavery. It was about the reason they had slaves was to reduce the price of sugar. That's the reason they had it. They didn't pay them nothing. So we had the sugar kings, okay? And we didn't feed the slaves anything. They had to eat sugar cane, I have pictures of it, for them to stay alive, okay? That changed their genetic structure because that's educating their genes. And some stayed alive, some didn't stay alive, changed their genetic structure. So you see the slave population today, the relatives, have an extremely high rate of diabetes. We enslaved them again. We made the slaves out of them again. Now they're sugar slaves. I thought it was fairly, and at the bottom I have these hands in handcuffs and shackles and chains. Well, isn't it really? We enslaved them again, except you don't see the shackles, the handcuffs, but they are, because if you go to one of their churches, 90% are diabetic. Use your eyes. One of the best tests for diabetes, one of the best tests type 2 diabetes is belly measurement. Yeah, the judgment-free zone, but I'm saying that indicates insulin resistance. You're probably pre-diabetic, diabetic if you get some belly fat, because that's dime a dozen today, and I'm not being critical here, and self-judgment. I love you, and I want you to save your life. Nobody else is trying. The government isn't doing it. They support the price of sugar. I'm telling you what's causing it, so you can do something about it, so you're alive and live to be 100. That's my plan. I hope it's yours. But I want you to be healthy, because if you're diabetic, you'll probably die 25 years earlier. You'll probably have 20 years of disability before you die even, so what are you cutting out of your life, 40 years? Yeah. And that's, well, like I said, I'm trying to prevent. Another great book, fantastic book. If you can't afford them, go to the library, okay? Or watch my YouTube shows. This one's here, Goodbye Diabetes. Interesting story by Dr. Wes Youngberg. I met him, I think maybe the guy living above arranged it, because I was visiting my daughter in Hilton Head, and a house was full, so I went to the hotel, and he was having a conference there about the Amen Society, which he's part of, and he went to the island of Guam, which had been flattened by the Japanese, so they're used to eating plants and real fresh fish, not fish raised in the pond, fish raised in an ocean, very healthy. And I saw pictures of them. Oh my God, they were gorgeous. Just like Columbus found the natives. They were more beautiful than anything around because they exhibited the beauty of nature. There's mathematics, Fibonacci numbers in nature. You eat nature, you look like nature. It's true. Look at some of my PowerPoints, some of my lectures. I got 3 or 4 people there who've lost 2 pounds of weight because they started eating nature. And because the food they're eating, mathematically, nature rearranged their body because there's symmetry in it. Take a walk in the morning, look at the leaves, look at the trees. You see the leaves, 2 and 3 is 5. What's the next one? You always add the past 2 numbers, that's Fibonacci numbers, and that brings symmetry to their body, yeah. I have some good examples on my PowerPoints. That's called epigenetics, genetics. So what Wes Youngberg did was there 15 years, and he developed a new way of testing for diabetes, and it's this one-sheet thing that you can pick up at the pharmacy or at one of my lectures. I have it available for you. One page long proper testing in the rising blood sugar. For example, our president in the primary did publish his blood sugar, which was 99. He weighed 230. Well, what is that? Pre-diabetes, according to his chart. And since then, there may have been some weight gain. I don't know for certain, but it seems like it is to me. And his last doctor, who he fired, wouldn't tell us the true blood sugar, so we don't know. But it doesn't matter. I'm just saying belly measurement is very critical, indicating pre-diabetes or not diabetes. Okay, so I think, and then The Secret of Reversing Type 2 Diabetes is a book I wrote too. These are all on Amazon, okay? I'm not out here trying to sell books to you. I'm trying to sell information. Once you get rid of this disease. Suppose you don't like to read at all. I've made it very simple for people also to consider just getting a good cookbook. Again, my friend Dr. Furman, who I beat in tennis 2 years ago, and we tied the last time he was in town. And you've heard of him, Dr. Joe Furman. He has a cookbook called Quick Fix. If you don't want to do a bunch of reading, get this book because you can, I'll show you an example now. You can turn to any page and there'll be something healthy on it with a picture of it too, okay? Here's one with not with an Italian name. So Italian stacked eggplant, okay? Tells you how to do it. Here it is. He shows you a picture, then how to do it. He has in there snacks, soups, smoothies, just everything you need. If you were to cook and eat out of this book for a month, I would say 90% chance your type 2 diabetes would be gone. I'm not selling books. That's not what I'm here. Information. You need to get information. You do this, and if you can get a type 2 diabetes in a month, 90% chance you would happen. That trouble I've saved you have added 20 years to your life, and probably took away maybe 25 years, and probably took away 20 years of disability. I think we've had a good day. But yet I find many people are just living a life of denial and delusion, and they don't want to change. One thing could be the whole family is that way, but if you can't get someone to help you, a family member or a friend, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. I know one side of the family that they're all diabetic. They all think it's their genetic structure. As much as I hand them books and DVDs and even measured the belly of one of the males, 42 inches. He thought it was 36, okay? And he's stage 5 diabetes now, and be on dialysis soon, okay? So you've got to participate in your health care. But this is not a typical path. I didn't ask you to climb mountains. I asked you to eat nutrient-dense food, 70 to 80%. I didn't say eat no meat. I say eat less. If you have trouble with that, think of what happened to the animal to put them on your plate. You might be inclined to get back on it because it has cancer factors in it, high cholesterol, a lot of fat and meat, and insulin growth factors, increased cancer rates. So a lot of meat eating isn't too good for you. But the main thing is sugar. Sugar is the booger and the hooker. Everything, you want to read the labels. You need to know the different names of sugar, whether it's maltose or whatever, that you read the labels of it, I think is important. And then if it's nutrient dense, eat all you want, because the nutrients in the food will turn your appetite off. Like I said, if I have a smoothie, I'm not hungry till 5 o'clock, generally. And then, or if I am, eat a snack, some vegetables with hummus, for example, and have a snack ready before you go to bed, for example. So you must do a little bit of planning. and exercise. Take a walk every day, or if it's bad weather, do some tap dancing. Like I take lessons every week now because it's something you can do at home. I have a little Marley floor at home, so I can say, Alexa, play tap dance music, and I'm using that for exercise. Pick an exercise that you like, not that I like, that you like. I play pickleball too, but I don't suggest everybody do that. You got to look at first and see how, maybe slight increased rates in falls. I don't know. Not that I want you to look at it first before you try it, but that's a fantastic exercise for good health. Oh yeah. So thanks for listening to all this. I have it we do this here every couple of weeks, and it's at 6:30 Monday. Public access TV 57, because I'm trying to prevent, stop, and reverse diabetes. It's not hard. By eating right, checking the blood sugar a little more often, and maybe in a month you're off your medications. It can be that quick. It's in these books. Don't stop a medication without checking with your doctor. But if your doctor doesn't know any of this, maybe you need to find one that does. And that may not be easy, but do a lot of reading. That's helpful. And show them the work of Mark Hyman and testing. And your provider may change their mind. Because you want to avoid these 50 illnesses that diabetes causes, which is it's an epidemic in this country. So I'm doing this because I care about you. I love you. I'm a doctor. So look forward to other shows, or see me at the pharmacy. I have a free lecture at Lutherans. It's on Facebook, Kachmann, the dates of lectures, looking at TV shows. Also, this gets converted to radio shows, FM 95.7, their belt, that's public access. I give lectures in Warsaw, that's also via Facebook. Townhouse now also opened to the public. And where am I coming next? Just having fun. We love you, we care about you, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And may the snowflakes fall by your window. And watch the robins and the redbirds like I did this morning, feeding off my bird feeder, awaiting spring. Bye-bye.